beautiful day for racing, everybody. Indyboi racing here. Today we're at the Utah Motorsports Campus for round 3 of the Arrive and Drive races. There's also some private races happening, as you can hear the friggin' just throttles just going right now. It's gonna be a good time. I'm nervous, but you know, the overall experience is just to have a good time, have some fun, and I think today we're gonna do that because I got my McLaren inspired socks, so I'm gonna channel the spirit of Danny Ricciardo, maybe future McLaren member Colton Herta. So let's see how it goes. I'll see you guys out on the track in a bit, and hey, enjoy the video. All right, here we are for the first practice of the day. I am hot and ready like a Little Caesars pizza, and I'm gonna deliver some fast times on these guys. But I would shortly learn that GoPro cameras were not allowed on helmets, so I dived into the first practice without it, swung out into the shadow realm. My competition was playing dirty. But that's okay, you know, that's racing, everybody. When you're out with the general public, you learn pretty fast who you're racing against. And at times, actually, it's unpredictable. So I have no idea what I'm talking about. But anyways, here we are in qualifying, going into the formation lap. I got my 3M mount, mounted it onto the front of the cart. So you're definitely getting a wild first-person perspective here. But anyways, we're diving into the formation lap, and I love formation laps because even though we had the practice, I think it's a great time to get the tires heated up, get some grip into them, take the track a little slower than usual, see who is around you, gauge the people up in front, maybe peek back and see what the people behind you are doing. See how they're reacting, because when you're with the general public doing arrive and drives, like I said, it's unpredictable. I mean, if you look already, these guys want to race. They're already losing position. They're trying to overtake one another. It's wild. And so you really get a gauge of how wild this race is going to be. And it may not seem like it from this perspective, because I'm going to admit, I'm not up in the front. As you can see, my practice did not treat me well, and I'm not in the very back. You know, I'm a midfielder. I'm here and there, but we're having a good time. I'm getting a feeling. I can tell this guy already up in front. We spoke a little bit beforehand that he was going to be some good competition. We've raced before in the past. As I said, this is round 3. Round 2 was just a bunch of rain and nonsense. I didn't have a GoPro camera at the time, so that was not filmed. But anyways, here we are, heading down into the straight, heading into our positions, getting ready for the green flag, which means go, go, go. So as you can see, the guy up front, he's trying to get some extra grip into there. I'm just getting nervous. I'm shaking a little bit, you know, getting into the grid position, glancing around. I'm seeing, okay, here we go. Checking, making sure everybody's okay. Getting the thumbs up. Whew. You sit there a little bit, try and collect your thoughts. You're listening around you, hearing the throttles going as they start seeing that green flag. Here we are heading down the straight. I pop into the middle here thinking I can go right through. I don't. I really don't head anywhere, actually. I'm stuck behind these two guys, but if you look off to the right, these kids taking the open opportunity to fly down into the first corner, taking the apex a little late, swinging out wide, really getting the oversteer. And that's one thing you will definitely experience with public carts, is that they are not tuned to perfection. They are not ready for you to be taking them to their fullest, because as you see, people are heading off left and right. You're dealing with a lot of oversteer. You're dealing with a lot of understeer too. Just swinging out wide, losing your rear end. It's wild. But here I am in the back, just taking it nice and easy, trying to see what the competition is right around me. This kid in front of me in the orange, his name is Sky, and I thought for a second, awesome, here's Sky, I'm going to follow him. I'm going to take this turn nice and fast, swing in, try and maybe pop in front of him. Nah, he catches grip, gets some nice traction, pulls out in front of me, dirt flying everywhere, rocks up in my face. I'm trying to get some control back into the kart. This guy swings out. Quick reacting and thinking will make you a successful driver. And here we are. I'm losing speed on the straights, and that's when I knew, okay, my kart is struggling. Even though I'm doing human DRS, I'm tucking my head down. I'm just losing speed. And I feel like I'm taking these corners at first a little rough, but then I started getting my grip, started, okay, watching the guys in front of me and seeing this is what needs to be done to get the job. To get the job done, to be somewhere up on the grid, at least finish a race. But this is where I struggled a lot, was this hairpin turn, because each time was not consistent. I was trying to figure out, how do you take this? So take the apex, or take the hairpin, flying down the straight now, take those S's nice and easy. This part was honestly my favorite because you could really gain some speed, and those quick S's were fun. I felt like I nailed those every time, and this turn was my favorite. You honestly did not need to brake. You could go flying in full speed, and it felt great just taking that turn. But later on, I would learn some braking would be needed because, whoa, we got a mess up here. Popping out of nowhere, two people spinning out. And once again, I'm sorry I'm not keeping track of positioning. It was wild. You have 33 karts on the track, and it is a mess. But here I am, gaining some speed off this guy in the slipstream, slingshotting myself right from around him, taking that apex late, swung out wide, lost the position, lost another position. So I lost 2 positions. And that's normally what happens when you do karting. You lose 1 position, most of the time there's going to be a guy right behind him, taking that opportunity, getting in the slipstream of your mistake, and just, he pops right in there, and you realize you've lost 1, 2, hopefully not 3. But I try and get him on the apex, or sorry, I keep saying the hair, but I try and get him on the hairpin here. I don't. Get behind him, and I thought maybe this is a time to maybe just see how he races, see how he takes his turns, and what is my competition. But I knew instantly, here comes my favorite turn. So, swung myself out, little shake and bake. I stayed in front. As you saw, there was a little wiggle there because he stayed right on my tail, and he was bumping me just every turn here. Taking this turn, see that little jump forward? He was bumping me. And yeah, maybe I had my elbows out a little too hard, but I'm just trying to maintain my position because I know I'm going to lose it right here on the straight. And I did. But that's okay because I thought, just nail the turns, we'll get this done. Took it a little better, no understeer that time, but he's nailing it just as easy. Moving forward, I see Sky up ahead, the main competition, the kid that I have been following. I've talked to him. Maybe you've lost him a little bit. He's up there in the orange with the white helmet. That kid flies. He's just about every race, he's nailing the fastest lap. And I talked to him and asked him, how do you do it? Like, what's going on? Are you been karting your whole life or something? Because here I am at 28 years old, thinking I could be the next IndyCar star. But, you know, I'm just trying to have some fun with it. And honestly, he just said, I just do sim racing. And I'm like, okay, that's what I need to do. But back to the racing. Sky's up ahead. This guy's my main competition. We've been going back and forth a little bit here. I've been staying on his tail, thinking I could overtake him. Oh, opportunity here. He swings out wide, but he just gets it. See, what happens is I get nervous. I get up on people, start shaking, I get nervous, and I start to overdrive. And what overdriving does is it really makes you a passenger of the kart. You start freaking out, you start overthinking, you're making small decisions. These small decisions become big mistakes. You know, I may see a guy coming up on my right and thinking, okay, I need to defend a little bit better here, but because I'm not reacting in a way that's calm and smooth, I'm putting in way more input than I need to. Like right here, I came flying and dive bombing into the hairpin, and I really didn't need to. If I had braked appropriately, just a few meters, few feet back, I could have gotten some grip into the front tires, went a little bit slower in, and I would have been faster out, because that is the golden rule with turning and karting. Slow in, fast out. And you see here, fast in did not work for me that time. I swung way too far out, and not only am I losing the position with the big guy, the tall guy up front that I've been fighting with, but I just swung back and lost position to those two guys. And that's kind of how, as you're seeing my race, kind of maintain this position for the rest of the race. I lost my position on that main turn, stayed behind these guys, and then Hawaiian shirt dude decides, you know what, enough vacation, time to get back to work. And he came out of nowhere, really aggressive, but I didn't mind it. I thought, you know, if this guy's coming in from 33rd and he's making his way up to where I was, which was around 15th, 16th at the time, then he's putting in some good effort. And maybe this is a time to watch him and see what's going on. But I really just don't end up catching up at all. This is the view. And I'm sorry this isn't more exciting. I'm sorry I'm not freaking Max Verstappen up there taking first place every time, or Rossi, you know, in IndyCar, but it's always a good time. It's always nice to get on the track and learn from other drivers, learn from your mistakes. From this video, as I'm talking and just watching this, I'm catching little things here and there, and I'm noticing that really I just get a lot of understeer every time, and that's telling me I'm not braking on time. I'm not getting grip in those front tires. I'm overdriving my car. So we dive right into heat one. Qualifying was decent. As you see, I'm further up the grid, which is nice. I think I was, let's see, maybe 9th or so, which isn't bad. I thought, hey, I've been starting in 20th, 18th every time. Time to show 'em what I'm made of. So we did the formation lap. Here we are, green flag, racers, go. And I'm flying. I'm thinking this is my race. I'm feeling lucky. It's about 1 o'clock now, so the tires should have some grip. There's been private races on the track as well, so I'm trying to find that racing line, stay in the grip of all the tread that's been left on the track. But it's just not working for me. As you see, I've already lost maybe 4 or 5 positions. This guy, he definitely got off vacation and was like, guys, I need overtime. I got bills to pay. I got mouths to feed. And I thought maybe going in wide on the hairpin would work. And it was smooth, I will admit. That's probably the smoothest I've taken that hairpin. But I took it too slow. And look at that gap that I've created between the cars in front of me. Maybe I thought, yeah, I stood a chance. But after the hairpin, I knew right here, there's no catching up, because I tried to get in that little posse there, but they were not allowing it. They wear pink on Wednesdays, and obviously I must have missed the memo, because they just set up a wall. They put out their elbows, linked up, Red Rover, do not send Kenny over. And I did not come over, because pretty much for the rest of the race, this is how it was. Oh wait, no. Actually, here we are flying down the straight, 55 miles per hour. Junior over here thinking he can shut the door on me, thinking I have a chance. But I didn't have a chance, because the guys behind me had different plans. This was the rest of my race, actually. As you can see here, I totally got slammed, swung out wide, sent to the shadow realm, however you want to say it. I was taking that turn, little freaking Junior on the right closed the door. I thought I'd take the safe line, but no. 2 guys cut the dirt, sent me out. I got slammed in the ribs. And I'm just dazed and confused, but here we are giving the thumbs up, and I thought, I gotta finish. No DNFs for me. I have to. And at this point, I know you really can't see it, but I'm driving with one arm. I could not feel my left side. Completely numb. I got slammed. And it was a struggle from here on out. I'm pretty sure I was crying. I don't know. But to be honest with you, I wasn't too disappointed. I thought this is an opportunity to have a clean, open track. I had one guy behind me, and I thought maybe it's a nice little competition. Clean, open track, one guy behind me, so it kind of gives me that motivation to push a little harder still. I'm not in dead last where I'm like, well, at least I can try and beat my time. And it was nice to at least have one person behind me. That sounds bad, that sounds awful, but I put in some good time after that, and I thought, here we go. I might as well complete the final, even though I'm really struggling to even move my arms. But here we are, flying down the straight, and I'm really thinking this is great, this is golden. I'm taking it nice and easy though, and you can kind of tell because I'm allowing cars to just kind of slip past me here and there. I thought this was a time to just watch, observe, maybe try and pull some moves here and there if I can, but nice and easy, nothing wild, just drive and see where the kart takes me, because I really was a passenger for this last race. I really wasn't pushing too hard. I was just thinking, finish the laps, get a good time, and keep improving. Because I have been improving. With each race, each lap, I had improved my time. And I know you're watching a midfield. We're putting in the work. I'm learning my braking zones. I'm learning how to correctly put in the input. And I'm really hoping you're enjoying seeing this on what it's like to be a beginner karter, just joining the community for the first time, jumping in. I grew up in the Midwest doing go-karting and motorbiking, but nothing like this. I've never competed with it, and so I thought I just began to grow an interest for it, and I thought, hey, I need a hobby, so let's jump in, let's see what we can make of it. And here we are now, back into flying down the straight, and I've just been losing positioning, but that's okay. I'm learning with every turn, and here we are going into the first turn again. This turn was hard to gauge because I'd go in hot, I'd go in slow, I'd butterfly the brakes, I'd take them nice and easy, I'd slam them, and each time there was no consistency. It was really a learning game with that first turn, because everywhere else you didn't really have to brake. Maybe you could lightly tap them here and there to really get a nice turn, especially right here. I thought I did that hairpin nice and easy, found my braking zone, brake, turn, clean exit, flying down the straight, but still losing the position, not gaining any time. And I thought, this really does stink, but I still had a crowd behind me, because I think at this point I may be in 10th. So I haven't, even though I've been losing positions and gaining here and there, I think in total I've maybe lost 3 positions. But behind me, I feel like Fernando Alonso right now at Monaco this year. Put my elbows out, just keeping a crowd behind me, because this was going to be my race, and this was going to be my time to set in some fast laps, see if I can improve. The fastest guys were doing a minute 17, and I think my fastest was a minute 19.2. So even though you're 2 seconds behind the guys up front, there's 10 cars between there, and that's what's wild about motorsports. But here we are, back to the race, flying down the straight in the back. This is where you could really gain some speed. As I said, you try and keep to the right, because to the left was tons of tire tread and wear from the private races, So it really forced you to stay on the outside and swing in, taking this apex right into these guys. And once you found it, you realize once that first turn was finished, this turn right here, you did not need to brake. Lightly tap them right here, get that corner, and if you could ride that curb, get your wheels just slightly on the other side, you really could slingshot yourself around and find some speed. So really, if you have some time and you're in the back and you're really not trying to get up to the front because you know you're in 20th out of 30 cars, well, there goes a guy spinning out. And see, that's what would happen if you don't find your braking zones here, is that first turn will send you flying. And you notice a lot of understeer on these turns, especially that first one. But as I was saying, you learn a lot from what you can accomplish once you've kind of dropped some positioning and once you're just enjoying it and seeing what you can learn. I started trying to take these curbs in a little closer, see if I could hook my wheels on them to really kind of like a planet in orbit, just swing around and send myself. Because if you don't, if you go just over too much, just even an inch more, you're bottoming out, you're bumping, you're losing control. As you see, this kid was losing control a bit with his steering, and that's because he was too far over on the curb. And that's what happens. But if you can nail that curb smoothly, you'll have some smooth steering and you will feel it. You will almost have this sense of slingshotting forward. It's a unique feeling, but it's nice because you do gain a few tenths of a second, which is everything, as I was saying before. Here we are into the first turn. You see how we cut him in nice and tight, just like the guy in front. He swung out in the appropriate area, taking in all the track just in time for the next turn. And that's what you'll notice in karting. Everyone thinks that, hey, I'm gonna race. They think you race a karting track like you would like your running track. Stick to the inside. That's the shortest distance. That's what's gonna help me gain time faster and win this race faster. But that's not necessarily true. As you're noticing, as these karts are taking their turns, we're swinging all over the track, and you can even see the racing line in that black tread here and there. And that's because you take a turn, you swing out, and it sets you up just right if you've done everything perfectly, just in time for this next corner to hit the apex. And the apex is essentially that turning point on a corner. It's where you get the most momentum to kind of exit cleanly and gain some speed. And when I say understeer, like, oh, I'm swinging out wide, you're like, well, aren't you supposed to swing out wide? Understeer is when you're missing that line. You're trying to turn, but your front tires are not wanting to turn. That's because there's no heat, no grip. You didn't brake in time. You didn't get enough grip in there. And so the speed carries, causing you to miss the apex, miss your turning point, even though your freaking forearms are putting in as much power as possible, you're swinging out. And oversteer is where you overdrive, brake too hard while turning, and that's when the rear end swings out. We haven't seen too much of it here and there. There's been a few moments where you'll see some karts that have spun out and are facing the wrong direction in the dirt, and that's because they probably got a little nervous. Somebody was in their rear end, just pushing on them, wanting them to make a mistake, and they did, and they gained a position. And that's something unique about karting is you want clean racing, you want the aggressiveness as well, because that's what makes the sport fun, is putting those elbows out, fighting for position, and testing your limits as well as the people around you, because you can push people to make mistakes. But one thing I ask new people going into karting, and one thing I try to do myself when I'm karting, is, I hope you've noticed throughout some of this, is I'm not slamming into people. I'm not ramming into the rear end. I'm not sending them into the dirt. If they have the line, I'll let off a bit, let them take the racing line because they have it, If I have it, and I know I have it, that's when it's okay to be aggressive. But try to be clean. Try to be ready for professional karting when you're ready to get your own cart, because when you get into your own cart, they're not going to let you slam into people. They're not going to let you slip around, slide, and just do whatever you want. There are consequences, so it's nice to learn how to race cleanly, take positions in a way that you're not shoving people out into the dirt. Because it builds sportsmanship. It's a community. These guys are going to be your friends, hopefully, and you're going to see them at every race. But so far, I'm sure you've noticed there is quite a gap between the guys in front of me, but behind me, I am putting up a fight. And if you've noticed while I've been jibber jabbering, chit chatting, that I've been putting in some clean racing here. I have found the racing line, and that's what's nice about, I feel like, longer races, is that when you're doing 10 laps, I would say around lap 4 or 5, you can find a groove, you can find a line, you can find where to brake, how to grip, what the people in front of you are doing, what their mistakes are. Maybe you can gain a position. If not, you're seeing how to defend. And I think learning how to defend is an ultimate lesson, because it is something I struggle with. So I'm thinking to myself right now, I've had a clean race, even though these guys are up ahead of me. I've been finding the apex every time, taking in the turns nicely. I'm not slipping and sliding on the brakes. It's beautiful, you know? It's like a mix between Fergie and Jesus behind the wheel. But here I am on the last lap of the last turn. As I've said, I've been defending 8 guys this whole time, and here we are in the last lap. This guy cuts the corner because you see dirt popping up in the air, and he just nails me, and that gets 8 cars to pass. Oh, I was furious after this race, because I thought, clean racing, I've done great defending. How can I'm like, I'm shaking. I'm like, this is the last lap. I've been feeling this guy breathing down my neck. There, on each turn, I could hear his motor sneaking up. He's gaining speed because he's also putting in some good laps. And just, it wasn't cool that on the last lap, he just takes that racing line in way too tight, because I took it in way too tight. And I thought I shut the door. He must have thought, no, sir, this is a, no warrant search, and I'm coming in no matter what, kicking the door down, taking your position. I got my buddies behind with me. There's about 8 other dudes. We're coming in, and there's nothing you can do about it. And there wasn't. I just sat there and just let it happen. And that's perfectly fine. Things like that will happen. But I think this race was a perfect opportunity as a beginner karter like me to just grow, to get some track time, to see what competition is like, to see what racing is like, to find the break points, the racing line. Great learning opportunities. And I think the videos like this, even though I'm not top tier, fight for the first racing content right now, I think it's a great content for beginners to see where everyone tends to start, hopefully. So I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, come back for more.
I'm a high performance athlete. Athletes sweat. Sweat, baby. Sweat, sweat.